The intention of the community farm is to create a place where all members of our community can meet and feel welcome. It's also to grow plants for food in an ecologically sound way. It's also to learn and share knowledge and skills about growing fruit, veggies, herbs, bush tucker, flowers in a sustainable, natural environment. And as well, we would like to regenerate the site. Organic gardening starts with the nourishment of the soil, leading to the nourishment of the plant, and then ultimately to the nourishment of our bodies. So lots of people are starting to realise the taste of some of the food in the supermarket is not as good as it should be. The reason I'm interested in growing organic food is to keep the chemicals off my plate. I find organic food quite expensive to buy, so I'd like to be able to figure out how to do it at a local level. There are hidden costs and subsidies that are borne by society with the way we feed ourselves today. The hidden costs include fuel, transportation subsidies, pesticides, regulation and testing, hazardous waste disposal and clean-up and environmental damage, and a big one is health problems. And we all know the costs of health problems in the way we are feeding ourselves at the moment. All those are reasons why we'd like to see Beelarong Community Farm grow. We do gain the satisfaction in knowing we are working and doing our bit to save the planet. Community projects formed at the grassroots level are addressing issues which are vitally important for humanity at this time. Beelarong means abundance. Our motto is, we care for people, care for the environment and return surplus. Beelarong Community Farm is an example of how members of the community can work together in harmony with each other and with nature. That's different to the main road of thought, but we are doing it. We are slowly learning how to grow our own food organically, locally. Hopefully, it will ignite you to have a go to grow your own food and not rely so much on the large supermarkets with their global trading practice and their reliance on food that is chemically grown.
We are the earth. We breathe. something called the blue line. It's about accepting the reality of the world as it is now. It's about having courage. It's about taking a chance and forming links with people every day. It's about getting beyond the fear that controls our lives, little by little. It's about taking time to argue for a higher vision of human purpose. The actions of each of us can make a profound difference. As a result, we experience, little by little, growing excitement about being alive and passion for what we do. The world can be a better place for you and me because we can do this together.
Two ladies from the community centres, there's two different community centres in Morningside. One of them visited Northey Street and she found this low-lying land and thought it could happen out in Morningside as well. So they letter dropped and did a survey of the few streets around to see if there was any support for the idea. Once they found there was a bit of support, they went to council. We actually formed an association to give us a legal basis, worked with the community centres to get a grant for a tool shed, really then to get tools, just the basic tools and the water onto the site. The council put our water on and we just went for grants, wrote submissions to get equipment.
Beelarong Community Farm is constructed on permaculture lines, and permaculture is a concept that was actually started in Australia by two people in the 70s. The two words that it came from were permanent agriculture, and it was to get back to a sustainable sort of system of agriculture and away from our take, use and waste mentality. As it's gone on and people have started working sustainably, permaculture's come to mean a little bit more. Now it's more about permanent culture, so it's really about creating a sustainable lifestyle. And there are lots of ways in which we've tried to do this at Beelarong. The part that you can probably see now is the Zone 1 area, and which is set up around our meeting house. Primarily, Beelarong is a community farm, so it's about bringing community people in. And a good way to do that is to have an area where people can meet, where they can eat together, have a cuppa together. And so as part of our little cluster in Zone 1, we have our building which has a cob oven, which is an earth oven, which we make lovely pizzas and breads and so on, barbecue, and raised garden beds where people who are disabled can come and sit and then have a cuppa so that everything's nice and handy. So the idea of talking about zones is that in permaculture we try to revolve things around their usage so that we're making the best use of resources with the least effort.
To
have a fresh herb garden on your veranda or somewhere like that, and one tap, the wastewater from one tap could easily help water that herb garden. Grease trap going on here. We've got a torture track and an aquatic filter through that middle section, and the end there is a sand filter and a reed bed. By the time it goes through there, it will have been sufficiently cleaned that it can go in the bottom of the herb bed. Okay, from here we've got great big rocks about this big up to about this. Then we've got a sand, and then we've got soil for about that much, and then on the top we've got a heavily mulch. So really we don't have to water this herb garden at all, and this was all from one kitchen sink. It works as an integrated tidal rock marsh. It's positioned in the house where the sun comes on it in the morning. The water can rise through evaporation and water the roots of these herbs. At night it goes down again. So we reckon we're copying nature by doing all this. Now nature seems to be able to do it pretty well on the edge of a creek.
So we would talk about zone 0 probably as being inside the house. Zone 1 is an area which is usually pretty close to the house, and that would be an area that's used intensively. So in our zone 1 we have our cooking facilities, our raised gardens, and our kitchen garden particularly, which is where we have vegetables and herbs that we can harvest to actually use in the kitchen. So everything that needs to be used each day is pretty much in the same area so that we don't have to walk too far. Just a little bit further out is the toilet. It's a composting toilet. We're trying to use as much sustainable energy as we can here. We have solar energy. We use only solar power for the cooking and for the refrigeration.
How about that? Another perfect sunny day in Queensland. This sign here is suggesting that this street light here with the solar panel on top generates all of its own power, collects the sunlight into its photovoltaic cell during the day. Up here, goes through its converters, stores all the energy in the batteries, so come night time you've got a full charge and this light fires up by itself off the energy that's been collected during the day. That sun's burning hot in the middle of space out there. We're reaching towards right here.
We also have got 8 solar panels, and so we're self-sufficient in electricity, and people are attracted to that idea and want to see how it operates. With the Department of Mines and Energy grant, saw it in the paper, an ad to say they wanted a demonstration site, and we wrote a submission and managed to get it.
The surplus energy from the powerful sun is stored in batteries. It can be used for a variety of other things and can even be used to run a small household.
We're trying to give the impression that this could be a house in the suburbs, and if you had a house like this, maybe you could use the toilet. It doesn't have to be situated up high, it could be built into the house, but this one is special. We showcased a water flushing worm composting toilet, which was the first one in the Seward area in Brisbane, and that brought curious people to have a look, and so that helped. It has a big worm farm underneath. It goes through a couple of filtering systems, a steam filter, and then over there to that area there, which is enclosed by those rails. So instead of going out to sea, all the waste from this toilet here, causing problems somewhere else or massive problems somewhere else, we're growing this Bedama grass, which is providing us with mulch. In our opinion, one way of utilising that water to some good use in the local area.
So it's a composting toilet that actually has a settling area a little bit further over, which takes all the black water, which is what we call it toilet waste, and turns it back into usable products. Our zone 2 is a little bit further out, and in this case it's a bit hard to see the boundaries because there are quite a lot of gardens along paths and spread out a little bit. But zone 2 is actually the food forest or orchard area, and so we have fruit trees, and to make them a little bit more sustainable as well, we integrate those with herbs as companions. We also have ground covers. Common name is Aztec sweet herb, and you may have heard of stevia, and this is like a cousin to stevia. Each of the leaves is a sugar substitute, and it has supposedly 300 to 400 times the sugar content of cane sugar. It's got no calories, it's safe for diabetics, and it can be used, the leaves can be just chewed, or they can be used as a sugar substitute by being chopped or dried. So could take the place of sugar one day, and it's very easy to grow as a ground cover. It roots at the nodes along the ground, and it likes semi-shade and a moist position, so it's probably a good one to grow under a tank stand or somewhere where you can't grow more sun-loving herbs. So we have ponds to bring in predatory insects so that they help to control pests in the orchard, so that everything works together. As well as just the food production, we have a large mandala which we're just setting up, sort of on the border of zone 1 and 2, which is for medicinal herbs. And so we're trying to show people how, instead of just going to a doctor and getting some antibiotics or some medicines, there are actually lots of herbs which can be used to promote health and to help with small ailments. For example, we have feverfew, of which the flowers can be used to help prevent headaches, and yarrow, which is a soothing tea. Lots of other herbs in there which do various things towards promoting health, so we're trying to show people how they can use herbs for health as well. The second ground cover that I wanted to point out was the pinto peanut. It's a very good one for nitrogen fixing, so it helps if it's put around plants in an orchard, and it's also very good at keeping weeds away. It will handle semi-shade, and it likes a moist soil, so it's an excellent general purpose ground cover for orchards. It's very easy to propagate, again from root division, so you can just take a piece out that's got roots on and you can spread it as far as you want. Once it's established, it grows really quickly. Strawberries make a good border plant. We put around the edges things that can be plucked every day, so in season strawberries along the border will be easily accessible, and so we can harvest the fruits without any problems. And all the flowers around, and again to bring in bees and just to make a mixed bed so that we have a lot of different scents and helps keep pests away as well. We're in the food forest at the moment, and there's just a couple of really interesting plants here that I'd like to mention. Pigeon pea, another very important plant in permaculture gardens. They have such a lot of uses. They're very fast growing. They can be harvested after 6 months, and they're harvested for their leaves, which are nitrogen fixing, and so it's wonderful as a mulch plant. Because it grows so quickly, it's an excellent quick hedge or a quick plant protector, and the peas themselves are edible. You can eat them raw, you can eat them cooked when they're green, and when they're dried, probably just about the stage that some of those are now, they're collected and they're used to make dal, so it's a very useful plant. As you can see, this is the bird and butterfly host area. This is a really exciting area to me. I'm just loving how it's coming together. We have a mixture of bird, bee and butterfly host plants, and in terms of butterfly hosts, it's very important to have the plants for the larvae of the butterfly, but also some nectar plants for the adult butterfly. And of course those nectar plants also attract birds and bees, so we have grevilleas, we have callistemons, and we have some banksias, and as well as that we have a lovely variety which are flowering now of shrubs, grasses, ground covers and small trees, which are all designed to bring in different types of butterflies and or bees and birds, so that it does a lot of things apart from the promoting the wildlife, the native wildlife. We also provide lovely flowers, and also with the bees coming in and the birds, we're helping to pollinate the garden, so that's another example of an area working towards the good of the whole garden. So the permaculture way is that everything helps everything else. We're in the food forest at the moment, and there's just a couple of really interesting plants here that I'd like to mention. First of all, you can see that perhaps that there's lemongrass around the borders. we'll add some comfrey to that, because lemongrass alternated with comfrey makes a really excellent border for a garden to keep grasses out. It's also a wonderful mulch plant, or both of them are great mulch plants to have, which you can harvest the lemongrass. The other thing that lemongrass does really well, apart from being able to be used for teas and Thai cooking, is that with the lemon scent it helps repel insects, so it keeps a lot away. And another really interesting fruit tree, also from South America or Central America, it's called the Panama berry. It's very fast growing. I actually put this in as a stick last year, about 30 centimetres high, and it's grown very fast. It's a lovely spreading tree. It actually has a sort of a weeping habit, a little bit like a mulberry, and the reason that I put it here was because there's a table and chairs just near it, and it's going to come up over and shade the table and chairs. Very easily pruned. Fruits twice a year. It's in flower at the moment. You may be able to see the little white flowers. The fruit is really interesting. It's only about the size of a large pea, but when it's ripe, it's a pearly pink colour, really tough skin, but inside is just like a very sweet plate of strawberries and cream. I call it my lolly treat because kids love to just harvest them and use the fruits as lollies. And it's also a useful one to grow over a chook pen, because the chooks quite like the fruits as well, so they can pick up all the ones that fall on the ground. So a really nice plant to have if you've got a bit of space. It grows fairly tall, but it's very easily pruned.
Well, we started off with really hard, dense black clay, so you have to have organic matter mixed in amongst that, and we found we had to build it up with compost as well as green manuring, big patches. So over the years we've gradually got one patch better, green manure. We've had rye, we've had mung beans. Rotary hoed an area up full of dense black clay, and we planted seeds galore. We've tried a few over the years: rye, mung beans, woolly podge veg, things like that. And it grows so thick and it smothers out all the weeds. And then when it's up a fair bit, we plough that green crop back into the soil, and that's adding nutrients back to the soil, or organic matter. So with the heavy clay soil we had to increase the organic matter inside it. It's got all the nutrients. You just have to have patience, because nature takes a while to convert from one thing to another. Yeah, at one stage we had a whole field of sprouts. You go up and buy some sprouts in a little packet at the supermarket. Well, we had this whole field full of sprouts. Yeah, well, they were nice too. We've used biodynamic preparations, and there's a lot of other biological preparations as well now out on the marketplace, and they all help bring up the organic matter, and it's lovely to see the result out of it. Yes, I think you get the basic ideas from what's happened, but I think you have to listen intently to whoever's around, whoever wants to do things, because if you can excite their passion to have a go and facilitate them being able to do things, that's what I think helps. So one city farm could look different to the other altogether by whoever you attract with what knowledge they've got and what they want to try and do. I think we all like to know we're connected, and when you hear other people's tales, and it's just as magic for me. So, the more people you meet, the more you understand, the more you know. People like social contact, and that's why they come to the farm, and acknowledging people where they are, and trying to see what motivates them, trying to enable what in their soul to happen, how to facilitate what other people want to happen.